We are back to talk about the future of the Batman franchise, which of course will include sequels to the Batman and also multiple TV series that are in development. And well, recently Matt Reeves confirmed that if you're looking for all the fantastical and crazy comic book elements from the comics to make their way into live action, this is not the franchise for you. They are going to push the boundary as much as they did in the first Batman, and that's all you can expect. AKA, don't expect characters like Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, or like Poison Ivy if they appear to be the exact same characters, because they're gonna have to be realistic. Okay, so let's talk about what exactly Matt Reeves said, as he's been teasing that the Batman Part 2 starts production next year. They got some great ideas. We, of course, already talked about the fact that it looks like they're going Court of Owls, and probably to some extent, they're going to go in the direction of, I would assume, Talon, maybe even Two-Face, because that character makes sense in that whole story and the sort of crime political aspects and the detective stuff, and it's a good follow-up to what we had with Riddler, but also Joker's in Arkham. So there's a couple moving pieces here. There's also the leftover story with Catwoman, Penguin after the first season. There's a lot of moving pieces. So being on hand to talk about Penguin and then what's coming next, Matt Reeves was asked about making the world more fantastical, following the comics, and going in a direction where we could see characters from the comics that are more in line with their comics counterparts. And he said they are not going to be doing that. They're going into crime and corruption. That's their universe. And he said that they are never going to go into fully fantastical characters, stories, or anything like that. It has to be grounded and follow what was established as the world in the first film. Now, of course, this is just more of like the template that started with Chris Nolan, right? Nolan went out there and did a Batman film, Batman Begins, that leaned into more of the fantastical, but it was still a very grounded film. It started that whole modern, or at the time, modern, everything goes ground-based. James Bond, you're doing it as well. We're rebooting you the same way. You know, those films in tandem sort of paved the way for realistic grounded. And when Matt Reeves got onto The Batman, which was a DCEU film at the time, he said, I don't want any of this. I'm starting from scratch at the beginning. We're making this a crime, almost noir story. It's going to be grounded. I'm not going into any of these crazy things like, here's your super serum, and here's Mr. Freeze with the freeze gun, and all that, you know? And again, the Batman, it's a different project. It's not the Batman we know. It's more realistic than Nolan's universe and what they're going for. It's more grounded, and that's fine, because now they realize this doesn't have to be the only version of it, you know? Like, James Gunn is producing a brand new take on Batman that's going to have the entire Bat family and Ra's al Ghul, and all these characters that are going more down that route. Think of this like the Joker. People love the Joker films because they're not the Joker. They're completely different, they're using the basis of the character, and they're doing their own thing. That's what this is. And I know it took me years to accept that this is what's going to happen, because at that time, like 12 years ago, 14 years ago or whatever, you had one version and that was it, and the studios didn't believe you could have competing versions. Now they know you can, and the fans will just accept it. So, while the Batman is going to remain grounded, and yeah, that's going to piss a lot of people off, I welcome it. Because it allows James Gunn and Safran to go the exact opposite direction and go, fine, you want comics? You want giant CG Bane that's 12 foot tall? Here you go. He's Baned out on Venom. Go ahead, you know? While Matt Reeves can do, hey, do you want Mr. Freeze? Okay, well, my Mr. Freeze is going to be a guy who cryogenically froze his wife, and then he realizes, wait, maybe I could do this to the rich. So he's going to capture people, he's going to freeze them, and then slowly torture them while they're freezing to death or something. You know, it's going to be a new interpretation, and I welcome it just to see how different it is before we get the comic accurate version that inevitably will happen in Safran's and Gunn's.